Hello, welcome. Thank you for viewing our Program Advisory Committee presentation prior to arrival. The purpose of this is so that I can give you an update on our outcomes and what's happening in our program prior to our advisory committee so that we can have a very robust discussion about specific things that we need to cover. Today we need to do some business of the meeting. We need to make sure that we acknowledge our advisory chair, review the minutes from the previous advisory committee meeting, and we'll go around and introduce ourselves. Just want to make you aware of our EMS program mission. Our mission is to prepare students to be the future leaders of a profession built upon changing lives in moments of need and around the well-being of our communities through the highest quality education and student success resources. C&M strategic direction, and how does that affect our advisory committee? Part of our strategic direction is student success is a focus. This includes ensuring that we have adequate pass rates, staffing, simulation, and alignment with national standards. Community success, we have great partnerships with our community members, such as you, participating in outreach, conference participation, preparing excellent graduates for you, and making sure we're listening to your feedback. Part of our strategic direction is organizational excellence and innovation. C&M has a broad range of this in the community. What we need is administrative support to make sure that instructors can focus on the classroom, advanced simulation, and training to make sure that our instructors are up to date. C&M mission statement, we just want to make you aware of it. It's to create educational opportunities and community partnerships while pursuing a level of community college excellence that is worthy of local and national recognition. I want to share our C&M core values with you. They tie in nicely to the field of emergency medicine. Be caring, be ethical, be inspiring, be connected, and be exceptional. What do we need today? Please give us open, honest communication. We want your feedback, good and bad. We want to make sure we're preparing our graduates adequately for you. We need to discuss support so that we're ensuring that we have adequate clinical and internship opportunities for our students at all levels. We want to make sure that we're partners in the education process. We want to make sure we're collecting your feedback throughout the year, whether this is through our faculty members or through surveys. We do have an advisory committee meeting annually, and we also have an advisory subcommittee meeting. And we want to make sure we get your feedback through that, as well as through the formal data ARC surveys that are required for our accreditation. Today, we want to make you aware of our program operations. We want to listen to your needs and expectations of a training institution that's training EMTs, AEMTs, and paramedics. And we want your input regarding future planning at C&M. Today, we also need you to complete program resource surveys and program-specific surveys. We try to gain your feedback annually and put that feedback into action. We do have new program goals for 2017 that we would need your approval. We need to discuss our program minimum requirements regarding accreditation, national registry, and live patient requirements. And we need your recommendations. We'd also like for you to chat with our students, and we should have students attending the advisory committee from all levels of instruction. Just to review our program goals for 2016, the first one is an ongoing goal. That is a goal required by our accrediting body, and we need to ensure that we approve that we want to prepare competent entry-level emergency medical technician paramedics in the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective learning domains, with or without exit points at the emergency medical technician intermediate and or emergency medical technician basic, as well as first responder. Last year, one of our goals was to increase paramedic level retention by 5% in 2016. We had a couple of rough years, and we had to report that we had under a 70% passing rate. It was 61% in summer 2016 and went up to 71% in spring 2017. So overall, our retention should increase for year 2016-2017. Another goal that we wanted to make sure that we met in 2016 was to increase our national registry pass rates at the EMT basic and AEMT/intermediate level by 5%. Pass rates did increase from 2014 to 2015. Pass rates from just 2015 went up to 85% from 80%. Unfortunately, AEMT pass rates went down to 77%, and we're going to go over that with you in this advisory meeting and discuss our action plans. Other goals that were approved last advisory committee meeting: to integrate the NREMT psychomotor competency package portfolio by summer 2016. We had to rearrange our curriculum, and we did so, and now we needed to rearrange our minimum numbers, and we'll present those to you today. We said that we were going to offer community EMT in the spring. We offered it in the summer 2016. Unfortunately, it is not filling. We'd love your feedback about that today if you have some. We also said we'd offer community health worker in the spring. We offered it this fall and it filled, so that's great news. We did want to ensure that we increased our carded course offerings and continuing education. So through CNM Ingenuity and partnerships with the regional conferences, we have offered ACLS and PALS. We've offered PHTLS, AMLS at the conferences. We have offered BLS renewal and ACLS renewal. However, there was not enough enrollment via the New Mexico Region 1 conference. Here are our goals for 2017 that we'd like to discuss at advisory and make sure that you approve of these. The first one, again, is our ongoing accreditation goal. The second one, we really want to focus on our NREMT, AEMT pass rates. We'd like to increase those over the next year by 5%. And over the next 3 years, we'd like to increase those by 10%. I will say that nationally and statewide as well, the AEMT has the lowest pass rate among the levels of certification. So EMT Basic and Paramedic are consistently higher than AEMT. However, we want to remedy that at CNM. We want to be fully incorporate the NREMT PPCP. And one of our program goals is we would like to improve the process and policy to address behavioral issues in the classroom, clinical, and field setting. Just a reminder, those of you that attended our last advisory committee meeting, you saw and approved our new paramedic program model. You can see that it's been expanded out to 4 terms. We had to do this to ensure that our capstone field experience was long enough to ensure that our students could obtain 50 team leads. We included a program success course that our students will give you feedback about today to make sure that the students were prepared to start paramedic school rather than diving right in. And as you can see, the credit hour load is a little bit lower per semester. This is just a graphic reminder of what is required of us regarding the NREMT psychomotor skills competency package. And the main reason that we had to change our program around, one of the main reasons, is that we had to make sure that capstone field internship was at the very end of the program and that a student could be a team leader. So we did have to do some rearranging, and this is just a reminder on that. I wanted to remind our community about the entry requirements for EMT Intermediate as well as EMT Paramedic. Students must complete the EMT Basic coursework. They can apply to the EMT Intermediate program with just a certificate of completion. However, they have to go through NREMT and be licensed by the week 2 of the EMT Intermediate Lab and Theory. They do have to complete English 1101 and Health 1001. Health 1001 is a 2-week course. It's mostly online, and they come in for skills checkoff on CPR. They have to be registered for Math 1210 while in the intermediate program to complement the medication math that is required of them to pass. They must fill out a pre-screening form. They cannot simply register. We do have to screen them and ensure that they have prerequisites and licensure. They can use something called credit for prior learning if they took EMT Basic at another institution, and I can go over that with you. We do give priority registration for those basics who are already licensed rather than only have a course completion certificate, and we will give priority registration for field experience at the EMT Basic level. And this is a reminder of what our coursework looks like. Term 1 is lab and theory. Once they pass that, they can go into term 2 and complete their clinical rotation. Entry requirements for the paramedic program: you must have a GPA minimum of 2.5. You must take the FSDAP entrance exam. After you have completed the pre-screening and done those 2 things, you will be scheduled to perform 2 scenario exams that is graded by a panel. The rubric and the expectations are posted on our website for the student to study beforehand. They must successfully complete both of those scenarios. Students applying to the paramedic program also must have the following prerequisites complete when filling out the pre-screening form. English 1101, an associate's level mathematics requirement, which is Math 1210 as a minimum. Psychology 1105, Health 1001, which they already should have taken in EMT Basic, and Biology 1410. They must be licensed by day 1 of the program. This is verified by our coordinated entry and compliance office, and we also collect a copy of it at our paramedic program orientation. We do give priority registration for experienced providers, and again, they can use credit for prior learning if they took their EMT Basic or EMT Intermediate at another institution, and their pre-screening form must be complete. Again, this is our new program model that they would be registering for. This is what it looks like. The paramedic program is an Associate of Applied Science. It's 67 to 70 credit hours of training. I just broke it down for you here. EMT Basic is 10 credit hours, and that's including Health 1001. And the paramedic program coursework is 47 credit hours. So today we need to discuss our program minimums under the psychomotor competency package. There are 3 categories that we had to break down our program minimums in. The first one that we'll discuss is total program-wide requirements, and this includes labs, real diagnosis scenarios, case scenarios, American Heart Association, SimLab, clinical internship, high fidelity simulation, low fidelity simulation, standardized patients. This includes everything in the program. And we do have a table that we're going to attach to the email that we send you with this presentation, and we will have that table for you to review at advisory as well. The second category that we need to ensure y'all are aware of is that we have to have a minimum of live patient contacts, and those are broken down into categories as well. This can only be achieved in clinical and internship, and it will meet the goals for accreditation as well as in our EMT PPCP. And again, we'll refer to the table for that. The third category is the NREMT Psychomotor Competency Portfolio Package. This is the third category that we'll need you to look over and ensure that we have a discussion about at the advisory committee meeting. In general, the major changes or the major things that we need y'all to look over, and again, I will have that table attached for you. The minimums for intubation in the lab setting is 30, with the last 9 out of 10 attempts being successful. Students have to have 50 airway management cases where they're decision making, not necessarily intubating everyone, but making critical thinking decisions about how to manage an airway. Last 20 out of 20 attempts have to be successful. Students must perform 10 successful team leads in lab. This is according to the PPCP standard. They have to have 50 successful team leads with live patients in internship, with the last 18 out of 20 attempts being successful. And in the lab setting, they have to have 10 successful team member requirements met as well. Live patient encounter minimums. Each paramedic student must perform 25 medication administrations to live patients. They must perform 5 BVM ventilations. They will likely perform that either in clinical field or on each other in the clinical class. They have to perform 20 IV or IO placements, most commonly IV. They have to have 12 total pediatric patient encounters, and you will see on your table that those are broken down into very specific age groups. They have to have 40 total live adult patient encounters. And they have to have 50 internship leads. And again, these are kind of the cliff notes. You'll see that these are broken down even more on the chart that I'll send you for review. So we want to know what your thoughts are. So we'd like for you to take the time to review the attachment in the email. We will have it for you printed out at the advisory committee meeting as well. I know it can be confusing, but we want you to see that we do have to kind of ensure that we're meeting all 3 categories, and then how our partnerships with you help us meet those minimums. In the advisory committee meeting, we will also have a discussion led by our BLS ILS coordinator, Kyle Cole, about current trends in EMT basic and intermediate training, and some community feedback and partnership about the different types of equipment. For example, a great one is the different types of supraglottic airways and what's being used in all areas of the state and what the training institutions are doing and things like that. So he will present that to you. So start thinking. Our ALS coordinator would like to discuss briefly with you as we move into the required NREMT NCCP refresher package. That's going to change a little bit for the training institutions. And so Rebecca Moskowitz will guide a discussion about what the community would prefer regarding that new refresher model. I'd like to share our program outcomes with you. EMTB 2015 through 2016, we did go up to 82%, and like I said, 2015 alone was actually 85%. Eligible for retest, 18%. EMT intermediate, 119 attempted the exam. Our cumulative pass rate did go down. It was in the 80th percentile. It was sitting right around 79 to 80 last year. Now it's dropped to 77%. So we do need to address that, and we've come up with an action plan for that. Our pass rate rationale, I sat with the full-time faculty as well as those involved in specifically the EMT intermediate instruction. We do believe that because the students take their psychomotor practical after their first semester, that enhances their performance on the practical exam. However, they have to go through clinical until they have completed the course. They must complete the course in order to take the written National Registry exam. There may be a lag in some of that knowledge that they attain in lab and theory. So one of the solutions was an NREMT review session that will be included in the clinical course. It is possible, and just full disclosure, that perhaps some marginal students were passed where they were right on the borderline. They were academically, right at a 70%, but those students often displayed some concerning behaviors, and that is why one of our program goals is to ensure that we have a good behavioral policy in place in order to make sure that the students are meeting the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domain before we actually give them a passing grade. So our short-term solutions, like we said, are to include a review session. During the summer 2016, we started having the students take the FSDAP exam twice in the clinical term. This gives them a learning prescription so that they can take that learning prescription. It's very detailed, and they can use that to study for the written exam. We will continue to do that. Long-term solutions, we can change the clinical course to what's called clinical intensive, which is a 60 credit hour course, which would give us more time in the classroom to ensure that we can do some National Registry review and make sure that they're solid on all the topics as a refresher since they are only in clinical in that second semester. We may also add some learning modules in the Blackboard or the online learning space for students to continually review while they are in clinical. Other program outcomes, paramedic 2015 to 2016, 49 attempted the exam, 49 passed on the first attempt. Our overall 3-year average, which we are required to report to you as part of accreditation, we had almost 700 students take the National Registry exam at the EMT basic level. First attempt pass, 73%. Cumulative pass within 3 attempts, 84%. Intermediate, 262 have attempted the exam. That first attempt pass rate does not look good to us. The cumulative pass rate within 3 attempts is 83%. Again, one of our program goals is to ensure that rises by 5% in 1 year and 10% over the next 3 years. Pass rate, paramedic 3-year average is 100%. Other things that the CNM EMS program that we're doing is we did offer, again, like I mentioned, contract courses for the regional conferences. We did teach at the New Mexico Fire and EMS Expo. We did participate in a Kirtland Air Force Base first responder refresher. We also taught a Gallup combo refresher, and I know that there are other things in the works that I'll have my faculty speak to at the live advisory committee meeting. Other things that are going on, Kyle Cole has taken quite a lead in terms of interdisciplinary simulation. We did a great simulation with our criminal justice program, and I know that Kyle did a simulation with the respiratory therapy program. He is currently working on an active shooter MCI drill, and he'll tell you more about that at advisory. We implemented an EMT kit for EMT basic students so that they have very high quality material that they bring to class. For example, they have a Littmann stethoscope, a blood pressure cuff, eye protection, shears, a digital watch instead of using their phone for vital signs in terms of timing, respiratory rate, and pulse. And we have some bandaging and splinting equipment as well. And the students really seem to like it, and the instructors feel more comfortable with the fact that the equipment is much higher end than we're able to purchase. And the students are happy with that as well. We are participating in the SunPath grant, and I'll talk to you about that at the advisory committee meeting as to what our goals are on that. We do have a big career and recruitment fair coming November 20th. We are highly involved at the New Mexico Joe. CNM currently holds the chair position, and we are still working with the theater program to have live actors come in and act out as patients for our EMTs at all levels of training. So today, at the advisory committee meeting, we will need you to fill out your surveys. We do want to discuss and make sure you all understand and approve of our minimum numbers. We'd love for you to chat with our students, and we really want to hear your feedback, and we really want you to make recommendations based on what you're seeing in industry regarding our CNM graduates. And we're always big on community outreach. We will continue to do so. These are just examples of our students taking part in support for breast cancer awareness. These are some recent graduates of ours. They're in industry. I just want to thank you so much for going through this presentation. I really appreciate your attendance at the advisory committee meeting. We really want to make sure that we hear your feedback so that we can make changes to the program if necessary. And just let us know what you need from CNM. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on October 14th.